Hi everyone, welcome to Planet Week 3. The themes for this week are to keep reporting and to start writing. And welcome to my front yard. I was feeling a little claustrophobic in my office. I thought you might be too. So we'll take it outside for right now. All right, so last week you found out what your story is, you started reporting on it, and you also met with your editor and with your reporting group. So that's a lot to do in the first week, or last week. Nice job. So this week, you're going to continue with a lot of the same things you were doing last week. You're going to continue to interview. You're going to continue to meet with your group. The two main assignments for this week are first, the news brief. So the news brief is going to be due on Thursday, and it's a short version of your story. This version might be literally just 150 words. But the importance of that assignment is to help you to start to find a really clear focus for your story. Once you start writing, then you start to discover what your focus is, maybe what your gaps are in your information. And we're trying to keep it really short for starters to help you keep it under control, so you're not trying to write a big sprawling story when you've just started reporting. So that's the first main assignment that's due this week. The other thing that you're going to want to be working toward is your first draft, which is not due this week. It is due the following Saturday, so basically 2 weeks from now, depending on when you're watching this. So that assignment is going to be more involved. The news brief, just one interview source is going to be required. The first draft, 3 interview sources are going to be required and 3 document sources. And it's going to be longer. It's going to be 800 to 900 words. So that's the first full version of the story. It's still 2 weeks away, but you're going to want to read up on that assignment and what the expectations are this week. I'm going to have a video for you to watch that's going to go along with it, but you really want to be aiming towards that. So this week, a lot of the reporting is going to be you continuing to find people to interview and document sources to read. I can't stress enough that you're going to need to talk to a lot of people. So I know that the requirement for the news brief for this week is for 1 interview, and the requirement for the source list last week was 1 interview, right? So some of you might be thinking, well, I did my 1 interview, I'm done, I can just sit back and wait. That is not the case. So minimum of 3 interviews for your first draft. And frankly, you need to talk to a number of people before you really figure out what your story is. Just to give you some perspective, if I'm doing a story that's, let's say, 2,000 words long, odds are I'm probably going to be interviewing 20 people for my story. Now, only 4 or 5 of those people might wind up actually being quoted in the story. But I've had to talk to that many people, first of all, to find the right people that I should actually talk to, because often the first person I talk to isn't the right person. And also, even if I don't quote someone, they can often be really critical for me getting background and helping to understand what's really important about the issue. So please don't stop at 1, don't stop at 2. You might wind up interviewing 5, even more people for your story. And you should be doing that, you should be lining those people up really as quickly as you can, because it's in those conversations that your story starts to come into focus. You start to find out what the most interesting part of it is. You start to find out who's going to be in the story and where the settings are going to be. So please, keep interviewing, keep talking. The more interviews you do at this stage, the better off you're going to be, I guarantee it. Many people at this point are going to be dealing with a couple of challenges when it comes to this. So sometimes it'll be a question of not being able to find the sources that you think you need to talk to. And so, a couple of the things that I talked about last week still apply. You want to look through your documents to see if there are names of people, like the authors of documents, who you should talk to. You want to be looking at news articles to see who's been quoted in those. You want to be talking to the few people that you have found and asking them who else you should be talking to. And you can also, if you're really stumped, talk to your editors. They'll have some suggestions, or you can get in touch with me. The other challenge that people often run into is that they've found people they think they want to talk to, but they're not able to get an interview with them. Either the person isn't willing to talk to them or they're just not responding. So for starters, I would say be persistent. So don't just email someone once, and if you haven't heard from them in a day, give up. So it doesn't hurt to email somebody every 24 hours for a couple of emails, because people are really busy and they miss emails. So first of all, be persistent. Second of all, be flexible and look for alternatives. Quite often, if you're trying to contact a source and they're not cooperating or not responding, there's somebody else who you could talk to who could do just about as well, or maybe even better, right? So if you're trying to talk to one scientist and they're not responding, there's probably another scientist working in that same field that you can talk to. The same goes for a lot of different categories of people. So be persistent, be flexible when you're trying to find sources. Don't panic. I can understand that it can be frustrating to get sources to respond when they're not doing it, right? I experience that quite a bit, but don't panic, and certainly don't freeze up and just give up. Just keep being persistent and keep being flexible. You see a theme there, right? Okay, so in summary, just to go through what's coming this week. So you have the news brief. Looking a little bit further out, you have the first draft. There's a couple of smaller things coming this week. There's a reading that you should do about AP style. That's the basic rules of grammar, punctuation, things like that for your reporting. So I have put together a Planet AP style guide, and there's a quiz that goes along with that to test your absorption of the AP style. There's also the comment box. Thanks so much for your helpful comments leading up to this. I am taking them into consideration and I'm adapting with them. Also, Twitter. The Planet Twitter feed on coronavirus starts next week, so the 4th week. But it kicks off on Monday, so over this coming weekend, you're going to want to take a look at the Twitter assignment and become familiar with it. And there's also going to be a video on that. You're going to want to have group meetings and individual meetings with your editors. And don't remember that if you want to talk to me, there's office hours. So I'm available on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday from 4 to 5. Just hop onto the Canvas calendar and schedule an appointment with me, and I'm happy to talk. All right, everybody. Good luck with your reporting and with your writing. I'm really excited to see your stories.